She stood at the heart of the courtroom, poised in striking blood-red heels, wearing a smile that screamed victory, my victory. The room echoed with her laughter, but only I knew the secret, that this moment was not her triumph, but the beginning of her fall. But soon, that smile would falter, and freeze. A cold stillness settled over the courtroom, like the calm before a storm. She took her seat across from me, her manicured fingers rhythmically tapping against the polished mahogany table, each tap a dagger to the past we once shared. She didn't look at me, not even a flicker of recognition in her eyes, as if the 8 years of love, laughter, and lies had been erased. Instead, she leaned toward her lawyer, whispering secrets and letting out the occasional sly chuckle, like the villain in a play who still believes she controls the ending. As the judge reached for the stack of documents, I saw it, that glint in her eyes. Sharp, smug, certain of victory. She thought the battle had already been won. I leaned back, a faint smile tugging at the corner of my lips. The game hasn't even started yet, I thought. My mind drifted, uninvited, to the first time I saw her, barefoot at that gallery opening, wrapped in an expensive sundress, swirling a glass of red wine in her hand, laughing boldly in the face of strangers like she owned the world. Back then, I loved that laugh. God, I worshipped it. But that laugh wasn't mine anymore. The first crack came quietly, an unassuming message on her phone at midnight. I asked her who it was. She didn't flinch. Just a coworker, she said. Then came the trips, to Dubai, to Greece, to anywhere but home, just vacations with the girls, she claimed. But one night, as I poured myself a glass of water in the dark kitchen, I heard her, whispering into the phone. Not tomorrow, she said, voice low and secretive. She didn't even notice I was standing there. Something inside me shattered quietly. Not with rage, not with screams, but with certainty. That was the moment I decided, this was only the beginning. From that night on, I became the ghost in our story. Watching, calculating, preparing. I launched a silent war she never saw coming. Behind her back, I transferred our company shares to a foundation no one could trace. Rerouted assets through quiet holding accounts. Drained the liquidity. Starved the cash flow, inch by inch, until the empire we built together became a ghost town she no longer owned. I sat down with my lawyer and a financial strategist, laid it all out. Even they looked at me in stunned silence. I didn't blink. I didn't gloat. I simply nodded. But that was just the opening move. Because next, I hired a private investigator. Within just 3 weeks, the investigator returned, with a file that weighed more than just paper. Photos, videos, hotel receipts, handwritten notes. But there was more. The man by her side in those stolen moments, he wasn't just her lover. He was also a wanted con artist, flagged in 3 different countries for fraud. I didn't react. I didn't even breathe too deeply. I just tucked that little revelation away. A voice deep inside me whispered, this isn't the end. Something bigger is coming. And it did. On the day of the hearing, she walked in like a queen at her coronation, draped in a pure white dress, glowing like a bride. That same man trailed beside her, wearing defiance like cologne. It was almost theatrical, if not pathetic. She refused to meet my eyes. But I didn't stop watching her, not for a second. Because I knew the ground beneath her was about to vanish. Then, it happened. As the judge began reading aloud from the documents, the energy in the room shifted like a sudden gust of winter wind. Silence clung to the walls. In light of the evidence submitted, the judge announced, it is confirmed that the defendant's declared assets have been moved entirely to third-party foundations and offshore holdings. Her smile faltered, froze. Gasps echoed across the courtroom like distant thunder. Her lawyer leaned in, panic lacing his whisper. Cash assets, only $42,000 remain. I didn't move. I didn't smile. But inside, the storm I had weathered was now hers. Still, it wasn't over. The courtroom doors creaked open, and in stepped 2 uniformed officers. The click of their boots against the marble floor sounded like fate arriving right on schedule. She didn't flinch. Not yet. She still didn't understand. Until the officers approached her table, direct, unwavering. You need to come with us. She turned, slowly, mechanically, her face pale, her confidence cracking. For the first time in months, maybe years, she looked at me. Really looked. Gone was the woman who laughed like a weapon. In her place stood someone trembling, exposed, no longer in control. That moment, those few seconds, were everything. Not because I wanted her to suffer, but because she finally understood. I never left the war. I just changed the battlefield. What's happening? The officer shows her a warrant. She's being arrested for fraud and money laundering. Her lover, the con artist, abandons her, slipping away quietly. For the first time in 8 years, the narrator sees her for what she is now, truly alone. Outside, it's snowing, a symbol of quiet transformation and emotional closure. A detective, likely the private investigator, hands the narrator an envelope, probably containing evidence for a second act of revenge, another phase of destruction. But instead of taking it, the narrator rips it up. He watches her being taken away in handcuffs, and despite everything, he feels no hatred. As their eyes meet one last time, he mouths the words, "You're free." But her freedom is empty. She's broke, disgraced, and alone. He walks away peacefully, no longer trembling, no longer chained by emotion. His final reflection: some battles aren't won with a sword, but with a pen, meaning, he didn't need violence or fury to win. He outsmarted her calmly, legally, silently. Snow, cleansing, purity, silence. His shedding the toxicity and walking into a new life. Indifference. True emotional closure isn't about revenge or even justice. It's about not caring anymore. That's real power. Tearing up the envelope, rejecting the cycle of vengeance. He could destroy her further, but he chooses peace. "You're free," a bittersweet line. His letting go emotionally, while also reminding her that freedom without dignity or love means nothing. Final line, the pen. His greatest power wasn't rage, it was intellect, strategy, and emotional restraint. The scene would fade out with snowfall, a minimalist piano score, and a close-up of the narrator walking away from the courthouse while the camera lingers on the empty sidewalk behind him. It's not a story of destruction. It's a story of liberation through letting go.